Europe builds and builds well.
We have the founders and the stories to prove it.
I'm Mathilda Nathan, founder of Born.
And I'm Niko Efstathiou, journalist and author.
And together we will be co-hosting some of Europe's greatest founders in Europe Builds.
Scaling challenges, fundraising strategies, diverse cultures, and the art of storytelling. Join us as we explore some tough topics with candor and detail.
Valentina, thank you so much for doing this. We're actually very excited about it.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm excited because I know you, and specifically, I've been selling a lot of furniture lately, moving across different houses, and it was a pain, I have to say, this whole experience. And now that I know that you exist, it's probably going to be a bit less painful next time. But I think for Niko as well, it was the sustainability angle and the regulation angle.
Absolutely. So, I also just moved literally this Monday. So it's very close to my heart. But I think, so we started this podcast wanting to highlight European stories. And I think what you've done is has a lot of European color. It's something that's really based in Milan, which can be the capital for design and all these things we know, right? But it's bringing this cyclical, circular economy aspect, which I think Europe is also trying to be sort of a protagonist. I'm a journalist, so I've been following a lot of the regulatory frameworks, all the incentives they give. But we all always wonder as journalists, is this working, or are we just adding so much regulation that it's sort of impeding innovation, right? So it's always nice to see examples like what you're doing, so we can have a discussion on how can we pioneer on industries like circular economy, specifically with furniture, which I haven't seen in the discussion. Like, we talk a lot about fashion. So we're really happy to be joined by Valentina Cerolini, who's currently the CEO and co-founder at Deesup.com, a curated marketplace for design lovers, which launched in Milan in 2017, but since then has expanded Italy's borders and has become a big European startup. Thank you so much, Valentina, for taking the time to be with us today. We always start by giving our speaker the chance to say a few things about what they have built in their career. So it's now been, roughly 7 years for Deesup. Tell us a little bit about how you started building it and what are the sort of milestones you've had so far.
Basically, first of all, I'm not an architect. Many people think about that. I'm not an interior designer. Mathilda knows that my background is completely different, but at some point, I actually find out an opportunity, but also got an intuition of matching this furniture world with some, business that would make sense also in terms of, benefit for the community. So I come out with this simple idea of the marketplace for enabling this circularity with the high-end furniture. It also was a personal moment where I was actually moving into my apartment, the first apartment that I simply bought, and at the point we had a personal experience. And as you know, many startups actually when you have a direct experience or a need personally. So I had this chance of having those furniture left from a landlord, but also the desire of purchasing some good stuff that, belonging to some specific brands. And I have programs in both sides. So I said, okay, let's try to build up something that could, give an opportunity to have something more affordable, but at the same time, value something that, you own. And since then, I started this study phase and also started exploring the markets, understanding a bit better, if in some geography, such a business, such a model could exist already. And the answer was yes, but it was good. It was yes, because it gave me the inspiration also for building up something more Italian-based, let's say, and more, fitting more this market that, as you said, it's very Italian somehow. There are a lot of production here. So I said, okay, let's go for it. And it's been a few years now, but it took a bit, some time at the very beginning to come out with the correct model idea, the business model, identify the targets, and it took some time at the very beginning to set up all the things, and then after a while, we built up the first let's say marketplace online, and it was a matter of building up this supply. So building up the supply from privates at the beginning that start to contact us for addressing the sales of very answered so far for a brand with that and they didn't know how to value what would be the price. So the very beginning was a very big exploration, talking to the users, understanding which was the real pain behind using such a channel for the purpose, and at the same time try to then promote those items in a good way, in the Italian market at the beginning and then internationally. So I will say it was very slow at the beginning, but then it was running with the exploration every day of understanding your paths and how.
That's super interesting. How long did it take you from moving to this new home until you actually said, I'm going to do this?
That's a good point. Well, it took me a few months, I will say, because, my experience when I moved into my place, I didn't buy everything at the very beginning, it was step by step. So as soon as I tried to sell something or I wanted to purchase something or identify the dream piece that I want to purchase, then step by step, it took me some months to answer your question to come out with there is a need here, something that can help me or many other people in certain situations.
And in terms of, you said there was an initial research phase. How long did that initial phase last?
I would say approximately it took about 6 months, something like that, because at the very beginning we had to come out with okay, that's an intuition, but what would be the idea in concrete, how the model will work, and how are we going to generate value out of it, and so it was pure MVP at the very beginning. So I will say once again, 7 months to come out with the concrete MVP, approaching the markets and planning the go-to-market strategy. When I say go-to-market, for me, it means that you start investing into your venture and you have a clear idea, enough clear to what's the direction. But you always need to be ready to, move big, change things, and adapt based on the signs of the moment.
Now, I want to get into Valentina's kind of head a bit more, okay? Before we drill into kind of circular economy per se. And I was very interested in kind of, if you had to pick one decision that you have made through this journey, can you kind of help us understand, take us in the room with you on how and why you actually made such a choice?
That's a tricky question. It's very difficult. I didn't realize at the beginning, but actually, in the role that I have, as a founder with my team and the other founders, you always, you need to take decision every day, approximately, but you don't realize that actually you are changing things in your business. You don't measure this connection straight away, but you realize after. So normally, when I get to take a big decision, if it is affecting a lot of business, and I know the impact behind the decision is huge, not just for me, but for the business itself, for the team, especially. I usually take my time for reaching that point. I don't take decision away just because something happened. Normally, if this is affecting the team and the way how we're working, I usually take my time and I try to weigh the pros and cons all the times. And it seems a bit structured like this, but consciously I try to, like mentally think about what is good and what is bad, what I could cause, what we could get. And also another thing I always take into consideration is the timing. Like if I take this decision, I can generate this value like right away, or this effect will come after some a while. So I try always to, wait and take the decision that generate the best value for the goal that you set as a founder, as a team, as a company.
Let's move to the biggest decision, right, which is to choose to be active on the circular economy. And this is something that is interesting to me because you often hear of people who do it because they really care about impact. Sometimes they even choose a social enterprise model, right? Sometimes even a non-profit model, but they want to be really active on the sustainability front. And then you hear others that say, no, wait, it's actually a business opportunity there. So I'm wondering, was it both for you? And like, why did you choose to make a focus specifically on reuse and on circular economy when it came to what you were creating?
Yeah, so this model of the circular economy was something that I was thinking for a while, even before like coming out with the idea of Deesup and the vertical of the furniture industry. It was something that fascinated me as a user, let's say. I'll give you an example. Like I was used to visit the vintage clothes shops or those type of things. Like was something that made a lot of sense to me in terms of model, like as a user, but even more like as a founder. So when I started with Deesup with other co-founder, like it was a bit difficult and tricky at the very beginning to measure the impact that potentially we could generate out of it in terms of new venture, like a big marketplace. First of all, because we could just estimate the volumes of the users that we could attract and work into this new model, but also because at the time, but also nowadays, like there is not many data like available in terms of the impact generated by furniture. In 2022, so we're already active in the market just for some time, and we did a sort of white paper and put some effort into like putting data together, because I was really curious to quantify somehow the impact we had so far, but also like the impact overall, like that furniture, like fashion, like is generating. For fashion, as you mentioned at the beginning, it's much more, let's say, popular, and there are a lot of research and things. For furniture now is starting, but at the time it was not the huge amount of data available. So we did this white paper, and it was good start for us, try to quantify like how each single chair or sofa or those type of things for producing was generating in terms of emissions and stuff. And so we did like very funny things. Like we tried to, on a daily basis, based on the new listings and the products sold and addressed to the marketplace, try to quantify and play with this as an interaction challenge, and then come out with a total, like say, amount of emissions saved versus like the brand new or the new production. So
what's your estimation now?
That's a good question. Like I lost the count actually. I actually can tell you that in terms of value, like overall, like in terms of furniture, still high end, because that's our target. Like market is huge, the potential market, not the marketplace, and there is more than 41 billion by in the coming years. So the potential amount of furniture is huge. Imagine that every year in Europe we are disposal for about 10 million of tons of furniture. So it's a huge amount of furniture addressed into the disposal, and there is not much control over it. Now legislation is helping a bit, especially on the producer side, because it's imposing the the due of overlooking at the disposal also, like the extended responsibility of the producers is called. And but I think it will take some time still for reaching the point where everything is traceable and exactly how the disposal will be addressed in terms of furniture.
And kind of because we're talking about go-to-market strategies before, kind of how that white paper helped you in kind of setting up the business. Did it help you in some ways?
Well, it didn't help at the beginning, as I said, because we reached the point of this white paper to put together like this data. But when we finalized it, of course, it gave us like a good picture of how things are moving somehow, and also a better sense of a sofa to be produced takes about 200 kilos of the CO2 emissions, and that is a lot if you think. But when you go to a shop for purchasing brand new sofa, you don't think about that. So for sure, as a team, it gave us lots of awareness in terms of impact. The tricky part and the challenge that we have as a venture is absolutely also to educate our community in those type of knowledge, because we have to say that there is not much awareness about it. No, not for
furniture. Imagine that.
Yeah. So I think that this app is playing like a good role in terms of key role in educating and sharing this type of awareness.
So I want us kind of to take us into the building of the circular economy kind of and circular business. And I want you to take me through 2 or 3 maybe milestones that kind of you felt that kind of this was working, this business was working. If you had to select those, which kind of moments in Deesup's history would they be?
Okay, 3 milestones. Then number 1, for sure, it was the time when we received the first order. I cannot forget it. Like, when you have just a small like landing page with few items, like you are exploring and say, okay, let's see how it goes. Let's see how the market reacts. Let's see if there is a market. You don't know already. The day I received the first order, I was like, wow. And I was celebrating a lot, and something that I can see that the initial milestone that is giving you the first sign that the market is there, market existing, and it will make sense. Of course, first order doesn't make sense much more, but I think it's a first sign. Second milestone, I will say, when probably we built the initial team, like co-founders plus a few first members, let's say, of the team. I think it was a moment where we were about, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6. And, it's not like explicit, but you as a founder, like you feel that you reached the second milestone, or the milestone, that you have people that embracing your project and let you believe in what actually you believe. So you feel like strong, and that you can reach like ambitious goal. And then I will say another milestone, going like step by step. I think that's we're celebrating a lot where a couple of years ago, like we released our own custom platform. Like we work maybe, I don't know, for months for building our platform, like the new one. And when we release, like say, okay, we reached the new milestone, like because you reach a point, intermediate point that you work hard for, and then you see the evidence, when you see the order, you see your platform coming out, and you have a team like around the table, where in contact, like you can measure like what you're doing, and all those things are super relevant for running the business. You were asking actually about the go-to-market, and those milestones are part of the go-to-market, but of course are not sufficient for saying, okay, there is the go-to-market. But I think those 3 moments, like for us, were important.
Going back to this idea, I'm sure the first order generates a lot of excitement. I had sort of a question about creating consumer interest around what you're doing, because I have a feeling that we've already talked about this. We are, as a society, more ready to embrace the concept of cyclical economy or circular economy or reuse when it comes to fashion. Maybe when it comes to cars, it's much more frequent. But you were trying to do something that you had to nudge consumers to start behaving a different way or consider different options, right? Because it's not like we do it as much with furniture. I would argue maybe sometimes students do it, but you were trying to create a new consumer interest in reuse furniture. So were there any challenges in it? Like, were there any resistances initially that you faced by customers having questions about this? And how did you navigate them in creating a wider consumer interest, first in Italy and then in Europe as a whole?
That's a good question. First of all, we try, the identification of the pain behind the intent and the interest is fundamental. So still, when someone needs a sofa or a chair or wants to change the bed, or any piece in the house, we identify the pain. And then the challenge is between this moment and help the user to consider the alternative of the second hand rather than the brand new, right? So there are many, let's say, points coming out at that point. And obviously, it's a combination of factors like price, urgency, exclusivity, and also acting in a sustainable behavior. There are a set of things. I have to say that we have to work hard on the education of the impact part, or the sustainable part, because of course, imagine when you're looking for an alternative, sofa, maybe you're gonna use the sofa for years, and you're gonna spend hours in the sofa that will belong to you at some point. And you want something that's is also reflecting you and is sense of perfect for you, right? And it's not that easy also in the brand new markets, and even more difficult in the second-hand markets. The thing that we try to do is to leverage the 2 things: the need of having a piece of furniture, like a sofa, for example, but also the opportunity and the exclusivity that you can have a sofa that maybe is out of production or is actually exclusive with you. So this fact of being unique and having this house that is reflecting your uniqueness coming out, especially in the last 1 year and a half, I have to say, something special for the user that we sometimes leverage for, driving the way to the option of the second hand. Of course, with some people, it works a lot because people choose stuff for being unique. Other choose stuff just for a matter of need, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, then above all those thinking, there is the price driver that, of course, is in all the verticals. But as a company, you need to take this into account always, in all the strategy that you adopt. But in general, to answer the question, we try to, combine all those themes and value all the items that are listed in a way that is driving for this uniqueness and, reflecting what people are looking for.
I have a very minor comment on what you said. I'm really happy you took it in that direction because as we said before, I recently moved. I was shocked, and no offense to any furniture makers or design companies that may hear us, to see how uniform trends are. So if you try to buy a new furniture, they're really not that different. Even if you look at different price ranges, they copy the same trends and styles. And I find that when you look at older furniture, you find much more diversity in products. So I found it very interesting that you said this point about like a special item, because maybe sometimes you want to divert from the trend and give a bit more character. I'm sure this is something that you offered, like a value that you offer to your consumers.
I just want to take us for a minute back to what you were saying before, that a lot of what you have been doing is kind of the education piece. I was very curious about kind of how many times do you need to hit someone with kind of educational information before they actually consider secondhand usage furniture?
So basically, like when people land to Deesup, majority of them knows exactly that they're landing in a second-hand space, let's say. But after they understood this, they always, or many times, they need some, let's say, a bit of better understanding on, especially on the provenience of the specific item, or has been used for how long, or in which age or years it was purchased. So they're coming out with those type of minor questions that help them to give a context, let's say, to the piece they actually are super interested in. So on our side, we always try to, let's say, make all the information available, act in a transparent way, and make, on the evidence of those things. But if you think yourself, like, I will know also, like, some, the details of the other products I'm purchasing in, even though I'm aware it's secondhand space. So to answer your question, like, we do like a lot of, let's say, injection of information as much as we can, received from the seller, of course, to give like the clear picture of the things that people are purchasing. And the good thing is that many of the users are, super happy in giving a continuity to the product. So after they clear out that, the product is in good condition, then they're very proud somehow. Then they wrote this in the reviews sometimes, that they give continuity to, furniture for sort of second life. So at the end of the story, like, it's successful because you reach the goal of educating, of giving a sort of injection in this second-hand recycling things.
Life. Okay, so I want to change a bit gears, always on circular economy, but I'm very curious about funding in your space.
Yeah.
And I know marketplaces in the past have been very popular. I know they've kind of gone through a downturn. I'm aware that you kind of the last few years, you actually raised a round to kind of scale the business even further. So I would love to kind of get your sentiment about how is your economy is perceived by investors, by the VC community.
Yeah. So yes, we raised money, and we did a couple of rounds in past years, and I would say that the circular model is very attractive in general nowadays for investors. There are some VC or funds that focus on the impact part of the investment. So in the sense, like, I see there is an interest and the idea of also bringing value to a vertical that is somehow luxury, like in our case. It makes a lot of sense. Of course, like when we talk about funding, there are also other drivers that are affecting somehow like decision and driving decision to more long-term view around the investment. So my general feeling nowadays is really positive. I would say that the expansion of the impact to the also to the producers, for example, like is expanding the model and making the circular model more attractive and even bigger on the perspective of an investor. So yeah, in general, it's positive. Yeah.
I was curious about at the point where you raised kind of your last round in 2021, how many kind of sellers and buyers you had?
I think we counted a few thousands of active users in terms of selling or buying. I actually remember that at the time, like in terms of catalog, like already at the time we had the majority of sellers as a private sellers, so individuals like us, and a minor part as a professional seller like shops. Now the scenario is a bit different, but we increased like the professional. But at the time we had good active private community of sellers. Yeah.
And actually, that's a very good segue into kind of a pivot that you actually took a few years back from turning the business into purely, as you said, like a B2C business where you had like individual sellers into more of like a B2B one. I'm just curious kind of what led you to this change and kind of what have been the results of that.
So actually it was pretty natural, let's say, like we followed the market. When we started, it was like more like a C2C, like consumer to consumer. So we built up this community of private sellers and buyers. Then, especially in the 2021, after the pandemic, like we had a lot of shops, like retailers coming to us, like looking for a new opportunity of addressing the display items. And at that point, like it was a big, I've been building up catalog and supply, and there was like a significant boost. And nowadays, like we're also like even more expanding because we have also the producers that are like coming to us and with the intent of position the brand in the secondary markets, but also like addressing unsold stock that actually is staying in the warehouse. And in general, it's about 30% of the production that is not addressed very well in the market. So the stock is there, and it's a problem, is an issue for the planet, I would say, but also for the producer, for this extended responsibility. So to answer the question, like it was pretty much like we went with the market step by step. Maybe when we started, the producers were not ready for open up the model into the secondary market and see into that an opportunity. But now they're ready, they're aware, and very happy to, like expand into this way.
Our podcast is Europe Builds. We definitely have a European focus. And something that's really European is regulation, specifically on this field. I think part of the reason why producers are more ready is perhaps that there's legal requirements now oftentimes, right, about waste management or about what you should do, percentages of resale, etc. So to give you the question here, Europe has been trying to create the conditions for innovation through regulation on these fields, sustainability and circular economy. How did you see these conditions helping startups like yours in this case? And is there more than that Europe can do, or is the regulation sort of creating the conditions and then it's up to entrepreneurs to sort of innovate, creating some conditions themselves, if you will?
I think like the regulation like has a specific ratio, let's say, like is driven by the reducing the impact, basically, like with the European agenda 2040, like obviously the intent is reducing the impact. On the other side, as entrepreneurs, like we should do an effort, I think, as we're doing, to identify like your opportunity in, number one, contributing into the final goal, of course, but also finding your space. It's not that always crisp and clear, easy. You need to find your, the good players to work with in your geography, but only in your space. For us, is the furniture. Understanding what's the general plan, figuring out if there is like more group action, let's say. in like addressing the regulation, not individually, but as a group of as an association, and then understand your role inside the system. We are exactly in that process now. So I believe for us there is big opportunity, especially not for the disposal stage, but especially for the reuse stage that is in between, the first use, then the reuse, use again, and then the end of life. So I think we have found the space. Is a matter now of what, tackle the good player and, create your rule and go fast.
And a follow-up here is you've chosen to have your headquarters in Milan, which I think makes a lot of sense. We know it as the capital of a lot of design, and, there's a fashion element, which I'm sure adds to the idea of a circular economy. Why did you make that choice, and what were the challenges of scaling up your business beyond the limits of Milan? I know that your marketplace operates all across Europe. So was that easy, or what were some of the hurdles you had to go through?
Well, actually, in Italy, majority of startups or the ventures are concentrated in this area, because, there is more also, I would say, culture, but, there is more concentration of also initiatives and, things to follow with. I was also a bit lucky because I was based in Milan already, and so I took the chance of being here, Italy is like the three F's, food, fashion, furniture, and furniture is always set as a number 3 because it's always behind. But I think now it's time to, take this chance to elevate the furniture, and that's what we're doing. Of course, here there are a lot of furniture also initiatives dedicated to furniture, especially. There is one event per year, in April, the Salone del Mobile. And we always, also in the past years, took the chance to go offline to, connect with the users. So for sure, to answer your question, there is a big opportunity, a huge one here. I think more than in other places nowadays, and especially in this expansion that we're running in, connecting with the producers, around Milan. There is a sort of district of the furniture, and so the connection is super easier, and I think it's a good opportunity for us to be here.
So we always close kind of these conversations with our amazing founders with one very simple question, which is, what is kind of the most important trait kind of for a founder? What is kind of core into his or her DNA? And so far, we've heard tenacity a lot, positivity, stubbornness, people with vision. Kind of, what is your single trait that have kind of carried you through all these years?
You need to be, your motivation as a founder is actually, I think, somehow driving all the team and all the business. You need to be very, focused on this motivation. I believe that, of course, you have hype moments and then you have down moments, but that's super normal. And I think that motivation that I had since the beginning, is always kept me live and keep it running. So be motivated, I think, is number one. Also, the other thing, you need to have good co-founders also, because you cannot drive you cannot be alone. We have 2 co-founders in our case, and this fact, I think, help a lot me as individual to keep the direction and have this motivation always.
Grazie. Thank you so much, Valentina. Produce less and enjoy design for longer is your motto, and you've taken Deesup from Milan now to Europe, hopefully to the world. Thank you for giving us a lot of insights on how you can innovate successfully in a field that we're all following with interest. You're showing us that it can be really successful.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Builds. where we show that the European ecosystem is no longer an underdog story.
If you liked our episode and want to hear more, follow Europe Builds on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Born's YouTube channel.